Good afternoon all. So as a part of celebrating our 30 years of Operational NWP, today we have Dr. R.K. Datta sir, who is one of the founding members of our NCMRWF. So I invite Dr. Datta sir to the stage. And I also request Dr. Prasad sir to be on the stage. Please come sir. So it is great privilege to be here, sir. Thank you. Thank you. We have taken up. Thank you. So I request Prasad sir to introduce the speaker. Thank you.
Sir, friends, Dr. R.K. Datta is the founder member, not only NCMRWF, he started almost NWP in India, and he is a dynamic person. In being meteorologist, he became president of Computer Society of India, and also established few educational institutions also, and he is very dynamic, and this NCMRWF establishment and this land also he identified and purchased with land with a big vision. Say now 40 acres of land in the place here he purchased it for the NCMRWF, and he identified, brought them very models and NWP models here, and first to start. I understand that first NWP model that India had is the team was led by him, and it is Indian model. Now we are calling trying to build our Indian model, but at that time itself, the model was started, and he's telling that our one of the joint Dr. Bansal and he will Datta Sahab, they together they developed a more Indian model, which is first run here, and the system is not available, and they even new system that IBM 360 that is available in Delhi University, he used it and run the first NWP model and showed to the Prime Minister and also DGIM at that time. And so we can call him as the founder of NWP in India. And the name of the NCMRWF also coined by him. And with that reason, I invite Dr. Datta to give his talk.
Should I stand?
If you want to,
I can stand here.
yeah, sit and talk.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad. I feel really humbled to participate in the discussion and meeting large number of persons who are now founder members of NCMRWF. I started as a person of IMD. When I did my MSc, none of you were born. Even your parents wouldn't have been born. 1957, I did my MSc from Punjab University, MSc Honors in Physics. And after joining for ONGC for some time, I joined IMD and went for training.
So you want me to operate or you can?
No, you operate.
Okay, sir. Sorry.
I'll keep on telling you.
Okay, sir.
So you can sit down.
Yes, please.
Sit and talk.
So I, 57, although 46, we had our ENIAC system, which was used by Charney for weather forecasting, and that's where NWP started. But we didn't have any computer. Even in our lab, we didn't have any computer. So when I came to IMD, underwent training, we had a person, Dr. K.R. Saha, as the net in charge of training. Dr. Saha taught us numerical weather prediction and development equation by short clicks. I was very excited. I took part in training back. Sika, all these people were my classmates, Abhi and all these things. Then I came back Then I found in India, in New Delhi, NHAC had started, Northern Hemispheric Analysis Center. Next. So this is what received advanced meteorology training under Dr. K.R. Saha, a former Air Force officer. He was squadron leader in Air Force. And I met him at when I was a lecturer at Datta College for some time. That time he came to give a lecture. And then I found he was met in charge of training. So that's where he trained us. And we used to keep on quarreling on the various mathematical aspects and all that. But he made me #1 in the training. Learning NWP model, study such case development and numerical weather prediction. Participated in lab discussion at NHAC. When I came back to this, I was posted to hydrology section. At that time, hydrology section was very famous section in IMD because I was doing Kosi Catman, this, and all that. So I used to attend lab discussion, which was led by Dr. P.K. Das, who was the director there. Suddenly, within 2 weeks, I was posted to NHAC. I started analyzing Northern Hemisphere Analysis Center because that time we were having Indian map, but this was a Northern Hemisphere map. So we used to analyze that. And I took over whole analysis system from Dr. Das and became leader for map discussion every day. Next. So Northern took initiative in analyzing weather chart covering the Northern Hemisphere, leading discussion, started map discussion, and all directors of IMD and DDG, Ramaswamy Sahab, used to attend the lecture. Ramaswamy was younger brother of Sir C.V. Raman, who was Nobel laureate, first Nobel laureate physics and all that. His younger brother was our DDG at that time and became later DG. So selected as a meteorologist and transferred to Calcutta because Dr. Ramaswamy himself was a met in charge Calcutta, Dum Dum Airport. He wanted me to have experience of Dum Dum Airport. So he sent me to Dum Dum. I spent 3.5 years at Dum Dum, came back to Delhi again, took over as the in charge of NWP. So 1st June 1969, I took over as NWP group. It was started ab initio with 2 assistant met, 2 professional assistants, and so on and so forth. 5-6 people. I was given a room and something and all that. We didn't have any computer, but I learned computing in 1966 while I was at Dum Dum. In January 96, I was sent for training to Bombay, where we had IBM 1620. There I learned Fortran 2. And Fortran 2 was a wonderful thing. We learned also assembly language and we wrote some program, and suddenly IBM 1620 became redundant. But we wrote barotropic model of hugosophic barotropic model with the IBM 1620 and showed it to Dr. Puteshram, who was then DG. He superseded K.R. Rao Sahab and became DG earlier than that. And therefore, he simply blasted. He said, "Oh, we have become computer scientists." He called all the DDGs and the art directors and all this. Said, "We have become the computer scientists." That was the encouragement which I got as head of the center. Next. So I am 1620 training, learned Fortran 2 and basic of assembly language, posted back to headquarters at NHAC, made in charge of the group. Next. Developed and implemented first barotropic model for weather forecasting. This we worked as the planning commission had IBM 1620. IIT Delhi had paper tape reader and paper tape puncher, whereas we need cards. I don't know if you have seen the cards. That is the 60 column, 80 column cards, punch card, and punch card was having a program. Punch card used to have the data, and we used to have a briefcase full of cards, and no card should shift from one to this. If some card shifts, you are gone. So that type of thing which you used to do, now you are wonderfully doing. You don't have to go for cards and all that. Okay. So DJ Dr. Puteshram declared the team as computer forecaster. So my team was known as computer forecaster. Dr. Das had left. Dr. Das had left as DDGF Pune. So I was in charge of this and all that. So this is the start of NWP. So we started at Delhi University because Delhi University got IBM 360 earlier than me. So I sent 4 persons to work at Delhi University because he didn't have staff. I had staff. I was having all independence to do whatever I want to do. So I sent 4 persons. They used to work there, used to go in the morning, come back in the evening, and used to also have all the data sent, all this constitution model, folio, all these things, forecasts were being sent and transmitted all over the country. So that's the way we started, and by May 73, we got our IBM 360. Next. So IBM 360, I have declared purchase of IBM 360-44, collaboration with Delegate for data processing, Soviet collaboration, Soviet scientists helped create PE model. First time, implicit scheme was semi-implicit scheme we learned because when I went to Soviet Union, I went to US in 1970 and Japan and came back. Then 73, I went to Soviet Union, spent 3 weeks. They wanted me to stay for 2 weeks more so that I can see their more computer center, but our ministry didn't want me to stay more 2 weeks. So I had to come back. So that's where a scientist came and we modeled with semi-implicit scheme was done. Presented an international symposium, impressed WMO director with computer center plan. So Gyan Bhavan mein, there was a conference going on, international conference run by IMD. So our DG at that time was Mr. Y.P. Rao, 75, 76. And the other person was Daihoff, who was the director of WMO. They were both chairing and co-chairing. I presented a paper. I think they liked it. And then Daihoff said, I want to see you at your place. From the Gyan Bhavan, he came. I said, I will show you the computer center. I took him to IBM 360. That time, it used to be in the DDGI lab. So I showed him the computer center and said what we are doing. And after that, he visited. He said, okay, I'd like to see you soon in WMO. So next, I got a letter of appointment letter of going to East Africa for WMO post. I stayed there for 1.5 years and first went to Geneva, then went to Zurich, where the person had already visited there. Idi Amin was the president at that time. It was a wonderful period, but funny period. Idi Amin was known as a blunt guy who was a probably NCO in the army, became the president of US, Uganda. So it seems he used to even eat the human being. I don't know whatever it was said. But he never bothered us because our car number had UZU, which was United Nations number. So he was not bothering us. So we were quite happy with that. So, next. So received WMO appointment for River Nile project in East Africa. Reported to WMO director, Secretary General in Geneva. Met with a couple in Zurich for briefing of life in Entebbe. So this was also interesting because then I went to Geneva. I got my salary, 1 month salary advance, $600 US dollars. It's a huge money. My salary at that time was something like 600, 700 rupees. Because net grade 1 salary used to be something like 600, 700 rupees. And there I got $600. I said, oh no, I deposited in the bank, kept $50 with me. Then when I went to Zurich, he said, Mama, you won't get anything to eat. You won't get anything. He purchased some tape recorder, this lot. He spent his own money, poor fellow. And I left with $50 back. I came, and then I came to, from Zurich, I had to come to Athens. Athens, they said there is no flight going to Entebbe. So I had to stay in a hotel. I'm a vegetarian, grass eater. So I had to take potatoes, onion 3 days. And then ultimately I found the flight is going to Nairobi. Nairobi, I stayed at Imperial Hotel. And then I remember there was a professor from Visakhapatnam, Ramanathan, who was also WM employee at Nairobi. So I checked up that time directory used to be easy. So I checked up the directory. I found he was there. I called him. He said, come. I went there and I found George Cavadius, who was also the chief technical advisor of NTV, was there. So wonderful meeting. And I had a good lunch there. And then next day I went to NTV. I was received by local staff who are Sudanese, Egyptian, Ugandan, Tanzanian, Burundi, Rwanda, all these countries were the counterpart countries. And I was put in Lake Victoria Hotel. I took bath. I said, I'll have a good dinner. And when I went there, they found there was oxtail soup. There was beef, the thing to eat. So I took last was banana and coffee. I took banana and coffee side for 75 shillings. Next morning, I said I'll have probably good breakfast. I'll have bread and milk and this. There was no bread, no milk. So I again took banana and some coffee. So then lunch, dinner time, George Cavadius also came up. He said, I'll also take dinner here. So he said, I have nothing to eat. He went to inside the kitchen, made Swedish omelette. It looks like makka ka roti. So I took it, but I didn't like it. So that's how I started taking egg first time in my life. So that's but later thing, when Sardarji came, he took me to his home, became friend and all that. That's a long story. Next. Left for Entebbe, but was detained in Athens due to air hitch. Stayed in Nairobi, met colleague George Cavadius and a professor from Andhra University. Finally reached Entebbe, received by staff and accommodated at Lake Victoria Hotel. Next. So introduced computer-based forecasting in Indian meteorology. So that's what I had talked about it, because that's how we did. International cover, worked with experts from Soviet Union and WMO. Continuous learner, adapted to evolving computer technology throughout career. So this is the one. Satellite came up and we were interacting with the satellite people, because I was leading them, all scientists from NWP and NHSC lead the lab discussion, and satellite people were always present. So some of this Kalsi, all these people were there. Kelkar was the fundamental person. Kelkar took over from me as the president of IMS. So that type of things were happening, but it was a wonderful atmosphere. We were growing, but not growing as fast as we could go, because IBM 360 had almost overlived its life, because 73 we bought it, and then now we were 79 or 80. It was almost that good. So what we are still using. Next. So a journey through computing and this narrative chronic is the professional journey the meteorologist and computer scientist spanning several decades and continents, from early work with government computers in Uganda and Kenya to finally effective weather forecasting and supercomputing in India. The story highlights significant contribution to the field of atmospheric sciences and technical advances in meteorology. While I was at Entebbe, I wrote a paper and for international symposium at IIT Delhi. So in between, I visited here. That paper was published by Sir Charles Lighthill, who is no more there, but he published a book in which my paper was published, almost about 50 pages and all that, and that was appreciated. And I stayed for 3 weeks and wrote a first draft for IIT Delhi to become Center for Atmospheric Science. So I wrote first draft, which made Center for Atmospheric Sciences as far as IIT Delhi is concerned. Next. Earlier career, so Uganda and Kenya, there I got mini computer 1. So I tried to explain how mini computer 1 can be converted into Fortran. I made all IBM 360 things being run on one, printing, card punching and all that. So I trained all the staff and officer of Uganda and all these 7 countries, and then finished the project and came back to India. And then IIT Delhi Symposium presented a paper and stayed for the fortnight. Next. So I was Monex, I was the chief scientist from India and went to Calcutta, did all the forecasting and all that, presented papers in India, Bali, and FSU, because our Murthy, Keshav Murthy was there, his wife was there. So all these people were very well receiving us. And I was chairing all the meetings because I was the monsoon person. So I was chairing Bali meeting as well as FSU meeting. So chaired meeting of the scientists, managed data processing. And so we had a person who was sponsored from US. One guy was staying at our IMD office and he sent some wrong thing that our data is useless, that our bonnet data which we have produced is useless, and WMO, Bodhush, started this culture and then sent it to Dr. Das, who was then the DG, okay, please come for meeting so that you should be able to explain your data. PK Das said, I'll send Dr. Datta. So I talked to the Soviet person. I called him in my room, gave him whiskey and all that, and said, Sir, how do you find our data? Because W Center 1, W Center 2. One was Washington, other was Moscow. He said, your data is wonderful. We are enjoying it. I said, are you going to say that? He said, yes. Then I called the person who was this old person. That time he was 79. He was there in Bonnet. He was a wonderful person. I asked him, he said he invited me for dinner. And then I said, what happened to the data? He said, no, the WDCA Washington fellow was unwell. So he has not looked at your data. But then who said our data is useless? That person made it. And when I went for the meeting next day, everybody said data is wonderful, data is wonderful. That's why I had the meeting. Anyway, I had a trip to Geneva, good. And then that was wonderful thing. Because our data processing person was Bansal Hindurani and all these people. Bansal was also the member of the staff of NCMRWF. So then it's good to tell, I became Computer Society interested also. Because 1970, I became member of CSI and started making a club of 5 persons because there were 5 IBM 360s in India. Delhi University, IMD, PRL, BSSC, IRC, Indian Institute of Science and Technology. So all 5, we made a club. So we used to have a good meeting in the CSI and started playing a big role that anybody going anywhere in these 5 computers will be able to run the programs and this and all that. And we had a good collaborative system with the BSSC, IRC, then PRL, Delhi University, and IMD. So that type of thing we started. Okay, in 87, I was called by Hemant Sonewala and Professor Mahabala. I think some of you know Professor Mahabala, who was, he's no more. Sonewala is also no more. They both came. Mahabala was then the president and Sonewala was the vice president. They wanted me to stand for vice president. So, and Hemant Sonewala was to stand as the president. So I agreed. So in 88, I became vice president and Sonewala became president. And 90, when I opted for being president, because after 2 years I could become president, that time Dr. Sheshagari's name was proposed. The nomination committee somehow played a trick. They removed my name and put Sheshagari's name. Myself and Nirmal Jain of TCS, we played a trick. I became president and vice president. Humne nomination karke circulated to the staff, all the people in the country, and got the vote. And then we got Sampath. Professor Sampath was a wonderful person who said, Sheshagari, you will lose. It will be absurd. Don't stay. So Sheshagari and me are very good friends, but somehow that he was forced to apply for this so that he can become president. No, he couldn't become president. So I became president. 90, I had the first conference in Calcutta, where we had Jyoti Basu. He asked me a question. He first said, "Arey Baba, bahut problem hai. I have to go to Delhi." I said, "When any call comes, you will leave, but not otherwise." So we were having the conference, convention. He was chairing this, and then when I spoke, he said, "Datta ji, rozi or roti bhi chahiye." I was prepared to answer that question. I said, wherever the computer center has started, there are more people, more employees, more persons are there. So roti, rozi, dono milega computer center. So he was happy because he was communist, he was anti-computer, but he was there. And then next convention we had at Ashoka Hotel, where we gave honorary fellowship to Professor M.G.K. Banerjee also. And there, Shankar Dayal Sharma ji ko bulane ke liye, I was calling his secretary. He would not agree. He said, "No, sir, Shankar Dayal Sharma sahab bahut busy hai." Then I told Mr. Vittal, who was the secretary DOE, who became my friend at Calcutta, because he became secretary at that time. So he said, "I'll get it." So we went, talked to the secretary of the Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma. He said, "I am 59 IS." He said, "He's 67 IS," something like that, and became friendly. And then Shankar Dayal Sharma, वो कहते but थोड़ी देर के लिए, but Shankar Dayal Sharma is not giving us. He is staying there. So I had to start another panel discussion and all that, but he is not leaving. So then I made my chairman organizing committee for the DG, National Crime Record Bureau. If you stay with him, I am going. That's how it happened. So it was a wonderful experience I had for 2 years. Later, I continued as nomination committee chairman and all that. That's it differently. But today, CSI is in bad shape. Okay, next. During 90, I was a mentor chairperson program that committee of CSI conference we had during early 90s. There, Datta sahab ko bula rahe the. I was asked when I came back from East Africa, I was asked to become the chairman of the program committee. And in that, Dr. P.V.S. Rao of TIFR was the president. I became the chairman of program committee. So I did a lot of work, but then Hajatullah Sahab was the vice president of India. He was to be invited. Now, I thought because he has a house in Bombay also, so he will be taking care. So P.V.S. Rao said he will take care. Then it comes when it is 10 days left. They all came for a meeting. I said, "What happened?" He said, "No, we couldn't contact." I said, "What funny thing?" So we went to Hajatullah's house. Hajatullah shouted at us, "What you are talking in this letter you have sent?" Tyagarajan, who was the DST's advisor, he was the chairman program organizing committee. He sent a letter without giving a date. Computer पर letter बनाया, date नहीं दिया. He said, "Undated letter is a useless letter." I said, "Sir, we are computer people. We do all fast things. Sorry." he agreed, and then he said, "But I will be for a short time." But he spent a lot of time with our people, and that's there again. I got Professor Jashpal again for one lecture, and I found him on TV. Professor Jashpal, that time he was a consultant with Planning Commission. Later he became secretary DST, our boss. So that time he has said, "This satellite picture shows this, so you don't have to worry. Now this won't be there." So when he came for giving a special keynote address, he said, "Here the." Because I used to go to the television quite often. 1970s up to 1980s, I used to go weather forecasting, this and all that. He said, "He is our weather forecaster." I said, "Sir, we need not go there because what you have said, satellite will solve every problem." I said, "No, sir, satellite doesn't solve the problem. Satellite gives the initial state. Prediction, we have to do it." He made this in his speech that I am corrected by a young person that the prediction is made by this. I'm sorry for this. I said on TV this and all that. That Professor Jashpal was a great scientist, so I liked it. Okay. So, okay, next. क्या हुआ? Introduction to supercomputer. 82, I was invited in NCMRWF for a lecture. There was a conference, I was invited. I was also invited to University of Miami for giving a lecture on monsoon. Monsoon of all, northeast, everything was. So I told Dr. Das, you go to HTMW, I'll go to Miami. He said, no, you go both places. I said, all right. I went there. I first time saw the supercomputer. Cray was there. It was a wonderful experience. They were producing 7 days forecast for Europe. And Bengtsson, who was from Sweden, was the director of this institution. So I found everywhere forecast was good, but monsoon area forecast was useless. So I said it very openly that this forecast is not correct. So your tropical forecast is not up to the mark. So I said and came back. I went to Miami, I gave lectures, came back. I found my international officer, Avasti, who is no more now, he used to say, "Arey, aap to foreign jate rehte ho. You are foreign affairs." So I said, what is this you are talking about it? Because after lunch, we used to go to Lodi Garden for a walk. मैंने कहा, tell me what is the problem. He said, साहब आपका senior scientist के लिए आपको letter आया है NCMRWF से. I said, put it up. He said, I should get the information that it should be put up. But DG नहीं कह रहे. He had, Dr. Das had gone on short assignment. So S.K. Das became DG. So S.K. Das was more vulnerable to me. I said, why you put this? He said, all right, put it up. By the time letter was put up, P.K. Das came back. He said, it's too late now. So I lost the chance of becoming senior scientist. इसी तरह IIT Delhi, I was selected as the chief scientist of IIT Delhi because I had prepared the document. So I was selected as chief scientist of the IIT Delhi. But हमारे administration put so many clauses that you have this, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for this. I said, forget about it. I don't want to go to IIT Delhi. That's again, I left it. So that's first exposure to this forecasting insight, invitation for senior scientist position lost due to administrative delays. Next. So this is the 85 3-week study at ECW engineering provided opportunity scientist forecasting field, particularly in the tropical area. This visit resulted in 3 collaborative projects. 85 I went and I wrote 3 reports with all the collaboration with the scientists of NCMRWF. So there were 4 scientists with whom I collaborated. So that I wrote 3 reports and they were all well taken care. And when I was presenting one report at IMD for a seminar, our Dr. Das said, "Arey Baba, itna kyun kar rahe ho? Chhodo isko." But I was keen to present everything because I was happy about it. Next. So then I thought, why not start medium weather forecasting here? And we had a SARC group, all the countries, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Burma, Sri Lanka, Malay, and all these were the members of Afghanistan. So मैंने कहा, why don't we start medium range weather forecasting? So we were having a discussion. At that time, Bangladesh person came and said, we want to have a center at Dhaka. I said, have it. I forgot. I did mention that ETA 10 or train आपको लेना है. So then I started processing the case of IMD. So S.K. Das was then acting DG. He said, you prepare a case and all that. I prepared a case, sent it to Professor Jashpal also. He agreed. But then our finance joint secretary was reluctant. Ultimately, she also agreed. And by the time agreement was done, our department shifted from Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation to Science and Technology. So that flip happened. So 86, 1st January, we were shifted to, and Professor Jashpal was the secretary DST. He approved this, but by the time he shifted to Judiciary Chairman, Dr. Gwarikar came. Dr. Gwarikar made 3-member team with me, Dr. Mishra, and Dr. O.P. Sharma of IIT Delhi to go for benchmarking. we went to US, and there we found Ram Gupta, who was a student of Rajaraman from IIT Kanpur, was also in charge of Crave IMP. We said we want to see him. So we went to his village, Crave's village, where we found fat ladies were doing all the wiring of the computers. All work was done by ladies, and no gents were doing the connection of the. So that type of thing which we saw, Ram Gupta we called that time because main concern was you can't have more than 10 processors working together that time because NWF has given a verdict that if you make 10 processors work together, it will work like less than one processor. So that time in 1988, Stephen gave a paper which was an MTech paper, almost 2.5-page paper, which said you can work it. And that's where, at that time when we told Ram Gupta, called him to DST, he gave a lecture. I said, why do you want to do only an 8 processor in Crave IMP? Why don't you have 20 processors? He said, no. But next, when he came in 92, he said, we are making 200 processors. And now, if you look up at Google, which is the supercomputer, number one, it has about 1 million processors working together and has 220 petaflop as the power of processing. That type of thing which is there. So that's the type that's happening. So started medium range weather sourcing project. Department transferred between ministries. Next. So 87 under new leadership in Department of Science and Technology, we went for ETA 10, KXLP, and S-type system. So these are the 3 systems which we did for benchmarking. Next. So the selection process involved extensive discussion because DRDO has to approve. So the Department of Electronics has to approve. Department of Electronics couldn't do it because DRDO has to come. So DRDO, Department of Electronics, DST, all the 3 departments sat together in NIC with Dr. Sheshagiri as the chairperson, discussed for 2 days. I found nothing is being discussed about number 1. XMP is considered as number 1, but they are discussing about ETA 10 and F1000. So that was the problem. I then said, have you any problem for Cray? They said, no problem for Cray. I said, forget about it. If Cray we don't get, we go for fresh benchmark. That was how it was approved, and ultimately we got the Cray accepted. Next. So now, Dr. Prasad asked me, why did we select this place? First proposal was from JNU, because we had put the system at IMD satellite building, first floor. Now, to shift, permanent place has to be there, because it cannot be IMD. So JNU said, you come here. So I went, met the Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor said, but this computer had some security regime, I said. He said, no security regime. No, then I said, I'm sorry, I can't put this supercomputer. So that was the one. Then Ayanagar, one district magistrate, sent me a letter that I will give you 100 acres of land, almost 1 rupee acre. Please take it. I took Dr. Pashority with me. Pehle main khud gaya, I found it was good, but it had a problem of water, rain. So it doesn't rain much there. Then Dr. Pashority went. He said, no, this is not a good place. So that's all. I came to Noida. I was the first central government officer to have 35 acres land for 800 rupees per meter. So that this land, which you are seeing, 30 acres for the office and 5 acres for the residence, was purchased by me, and I was given hero worship of by Noida chief. He said, you become honorary member of the golf club, because golf club is somewhere near about here. I had also 450 square meter house, apna banaya hua tha, but that also I sold. And that's all. But this was shared between DST and Art Sciences. Now it is all Art Sciences, right? So now it's all Art Sciences. Pehle DST was having our signal. Okay, okay. So they were having it. Now it's not there. So that way it has all become much scientific. Next. So now you are happy. Why we selected this? Because Delhi में तो land और आया नगर से मिलती थी और कहीं नहीं मिलती. Because this much land nowhere else. Noida was developing at that time. After that, our CAG has got a land. जहाँ आप conference कराते थे. पहले जब नहीं था तब वहाँ conference कराते थे. So that type of thing was there. So this is the story of setting up India's first computer-based weather forecasting center. It details the challenge faced and overcome in procuring equipment, preparing infrastructure, inauguration of National Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasting. The narrative highlights the collaborative efforts of various government departments, international partners, and the personal involvement of high-ranking people, including the then Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister has to talk to Reagan so that you get the Pentagon clearance that we did. So next. So before installing the supercomputer, देखो मेरे क्या problem था. I was alone, employee of IMD, working in DST, with one PA, one stenographer. So that's all I had. So I used to start talking from morning to evening. पहले तो क्ले वालों से talk करना, फिर client लेने थे CMC से talk करो. Then we need UPS. So we wanted to talk to Tata or something. Then we need other things. So 32 organizations I was dealing all single-handed. Cray computer लाने के लिए I had to talk to the custom people. My deputy secretary Arun Sahu was from IRS, so he knew his boss was the collector of the customs. So he took me there. I talked to her. Please, when the supercomputer comes, don't touch. Allow it to come untouched. And then I went to Chief Commissioner of Delhi. Said, please give me the persons. He said, no, I can't have persons. Then I went to DD CSS. The person was 1 year senior to me in Punjab. So I said, give me one company of the police. He said, no, you have to apply for it and all that. Then I went to additional secretary in Ministry of Home Affairs. He eventually posted one CRPF company with inspector as in charge. That's all the things were happening. So this thing, and I had to place the supercomputer, which is very heavy, at the first floor. So I took the chief engineer electrical, civil aviation, chief engineer civil, architect, and one more person. I took them to Abu Dhabi, where the supercomputer was on the second floor. I said, see all the working so that you should not miss anything there. So that's again. So all the things were there. So 32 organizations I was dealing. I was doing no research. For almost 3 years, I did not see any research except that I was making people to do research and listening to their work. That's the type of thing. Then, in Pune International Conference was being held, and Dr. Gorikar was going to inaugurate it. So he told me, why you have not put your name? I said, I have no paper. He said, how does it matter? You come. I said, why should I come? He said, no, you should come. So I had to put my name also. I went there and generally I sit on the first row. I sat on the third row. Because I had no paper. The other international people had all the papers. So then when he started inauguration, he said, management of 32 organizations is also a science. Where is Datta? I got up. मेरे कान red हो गए. And he said, see, he has been handling 32 organizations all single-handed. Everybody clapped in Pune. So that's all the things happened. So that's the wonderful things happen. These life changes. And I do not know if somebody had not put the supercomputer in view, has supercomputer come here? No. Because IISc Bangalore wanted. No, they didn't get it. IIT Delhi wanted. They didn't get it. Nobody got it. We got it because we made a very good case for medium-range weather forecast. So I feel proud that you have now Anka Anuruka, wonderful computer. I think again, I would hope you get the top supercomputer also. someday, because I think 2,000 crores have been sanctioned for meteorology department. So you should be able to have much higher computer, and you should be able to create wonderful forecast. I am sure, because Kanle was a good friend of mine. When I was invited for, after NCMRWF work, I was invited to Vatican Academy for giving a talk. We were 22 scientists from all over the India. I was the only, all over the world, I was the only person from India. So Kanle was there also. Kanle was that time director NMC. So that's where we met it, and later we became very close friends. She came when IIT Delhi lecturer was there. She came, and that's the time she was a very young person, became friend. She came also here sometime 4 or 5 years back, before COVID. I think 2020, she came here. That's where I met her, and I was very happy to be here. So, order placement, the Tata various UPS, ये वो टाटा में मुखर्जी थे, तो कहने लगे, अरे भैया हमने आपने इस दिन कहा, आप इतने दिन आ गए, तो क्या करोगे? I said, no, give me the full UPS, we'll give you the final date, final letter. He wanted me to sign a letter even before checking. When we checked, 400 kVA were not working. So I said, quality control manager, so I said, you send a letter to me, why it is not working. And you promise when you will make it work. So he promised within 1 month it will start working. We went there and it was working. That's where we gave a special report. Team visit Bombay for technical checks, lower power UPSC pass, higher version phase. After a fortnight, issue resolved and UPSC approved. Next. Transporting supercomputer, I said, first shipment was arranged by Crane Corporate, but other equipment was arranged by Air India. Now, how do I help Air India? Air India, I called the chief CEO of Air India. Then he sent team to DSP. So I said, please arrange it. So they could have a carrier shifted. And I sent a very special letter signed by Dr. Gwarika with my signature as well as Dr. Gwarika's signature, thanking them. So my nephew came from Australia. He lost his bag. So he was searching. And I went there. I had retired by that time. So I went there. I was asking the receptionist in Air India, this and all that. One fellow was coming up and down, coming up, coming down. When I went in, he said, are you Dr. Datta? I said, yes. He said, sir, because of your letter, I am here. I am the manager because of your credit. आप जो कहे कर लीजिए. So he put all the things, everything was that. So that type of thing, you feel so happy. I couldn't recognize it, but he recognized me there. So that's why he was coming off and on from this. Next. Police provision, custom clearance, smooth transportation, so that nobody touches. Because police की permission है वो touch कर सकते हैं. कभी भी आएगा वो करता है. So then additional secretary से बात करें तो उसने CRPF के लोग लगा दिए. So everybody, you couldn't enter there. You had to put overshoes. You could go with shoes inside. You had to put overshoes and all that. And that type of thing started very well. Next. Additional secretary of Welfare consultant, CRP assignment, one company of CRP assigned for this. Next. Preparation, invitation, and Dr. Rajiv Gandhi was not giving time. Gwarikar was very, how do you do it? So ultimately he agreed for, I think, Saturday, because I thought it was Sunday, but when I checked up, 25th March was Saturday. So Saturday is holiday. So all the secretaries of Government of India and some scientists were invited at IMD, and I was, because Dr. Gwarikar was giving a presentation, then this presentation was on 3 computers, because PPT नहीं होता. 88, 89 में PPT नहीं होता था, तो 3 कंप्यूटर पर उसके separate presentation हो रही थी. And I used to be there sitting in computer, ये करो. That's how I was doing. and I have to then go to satellite building to receive Prime Minister. I was not being allowed. Police people said, "Idhar jao, udhar jao." Then suddenly my deputy secretary was standing here. He said, "Baba, usne Rajiv Gandhi साहब को receive करना है." Then I was allowed to go in, and that's why we received. एक Dr. Begum, आप जानते हैं, he shook hand with Dr. with Rajiv Gandhi. She said, "I don't want to clean my hand for so many days." So that's where the things were so wonderful. So he talked about Reagan, that we take also Reagan for all the help and all that. So, what Division 5 specialized group formed for different aspects of weather forecasting, focus area, emphasis on tropical weather analysis and forecasting, partnership with NCMRWF and NCMRWF. I called Dr. Venture and two other scientists. They came and they spent 4 days with us. But they said, all the forecasts, all the other things, you can take it from us. So then that Deshmukh came and he brought analysis system, but didn't run. 3 months, he left, leaving the resignation letter on the table under the glass. He didn't tell anybody that he's resigning. He left. That's unfortunate, but that's it. Weather forecast showed significant improvement. Partnership with it. So NMC से हमने 3 साइंटिस्ट भेजे थे, बांसल, बासु एंड प्रसाद. तो हमारे जो बिहार के थे, उनको भी भेजा तीनों को. They try to have lot of dialogue with Kalni and all that. So they made some proposals also. So it was good. But ultimately, we are having a collaboration with NMC. So NMC से ही collaboration best रहा. Kalni से ही हमारे friendship अच्छा था. अब somebody the director NMC. NCM बोलते हैं हम.
No,
So he is
the same NMC, no NCM.
Next. So this is Dr. Gwarikar, Pune conference, where he said, Dr. Gwarikar, while addressing the conference, highlighted the importance of 30 organizations, not 32, NCMRWF success, the result of collaboration efforts and management. So that's where he talked about it, and Dr. Gwarikar. Next. So the journey through scientific conferences and supercomputer, that's all the things are happening. Security concern, highlight the growth of supercomputing capability and international collaboration in meteorology. I was also president of IMH Society, but after retirement. After Raghunath stood against me. क्या नाम थे आपके? NRSA के chief. Raghu. Dikshul stood against me. He lost because I don't have.
Professor B.L. Dikshit.
He lost, but he was given fellowship and all.
That time you were in the job.
No, I retired. When I became president of IMF, when I was vice president, I was in the service. As a president, I retired and then became president. So I was president and went to Bangalore. Our person was saying, "Nahi sahab, this should be there," and all that. उन्होंने कहा कि हम सिर्फ कीनोट एड्रेस लेंगे. लो, how, where the IMD person will present the paper, where the NCMRWF will present the paper. So I didn't agree. I was the president. I didn't agree. So I gave honorary fellowship to Professor Rattan K. He was the ISRO chairperson during '94. जिन्होंने सिलेबस भी बनाया है. अहमदाबाद से उन्होंने PhD करी है. कस्तूरी रंगन. So he was the chairman of ISRO. उसको मैंने honorary fellowship दिया. I gave honorary fellowship because I started fellowship. So first fellowship was given to Dr. Kuteshwar and related to all the other directors, and then I gave a fellowship to Secretary General also, honorary fellowship. I gave honorary fellowship to Kasturi Rangan, and then this process started. So that's how my life story. I am becoming 90. I don't look like 90, but I get up at 3:30. I get 3 o'clock or 3:30 and go for a walk, 1 hour, 15 minutes, take a big cup of kada, and I am fine from it. I take banana and bread. Thank you very much. Learning experience, attending the approvals, leading NCMRWF conference, serial interaction, and all that. Next, training initiative, 2 conferences in Pune, Kalne, and then director of NC attended the conference in Pune, 11 official visits, so on and so forth. Next. Second processor. Okay, एक instance of मैं बताना चाहता हूँ. I suddenly got, you people know, 11 Pentagon people forced their entry to NCMRWF in Delhi. You know that? You came in 90? Oh, no, you won't know. The person who was there in 90, that fellow will know. 11 people forced their entry into NCMRWF because Ministry of External Affairs Joint Secretary told they are coming. Why should they come? Because somebody in DRDO, while taking, I was also taking dinner with the chief of the US charge the affair. He was also taking dinner. He said, अरे मैं तो कुछ भी ले सकता हूँ, हमारा एक आदमी वहाँ NCMRWF में काम कर रहा है, वो प्रसाद was working with. So they suspected that something is happening. 11 people came, and I allowed them to talk to head scientists. Then I talked to them. Then I talked to combined scientists. Then in the end, I said, what did you find? When I am getting remote entry, when I am getting second processor, they said you are getting second processor any day you apply, but not remote. So I had to face, no, Dr. Gwarikar said, this is your business, you have to do it. So that's how I faced the problem in Delhi. So that a lot of problems came up, but I faced it very well. So that's all. I thank you very much for giving me opportunity to tell our young scientists how supercomputer came. I believe now I can say if I had not played a role from 82 onward, we wouldn't have got the supercomputer. We would have been working with Param, which is a minor computer, not a supercomputer at all. Because I said it in Pune, Radharaman said it, I said it, but they didn't believe it. So that's all. All the best. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any questions you want to raise or anything you want to ask me to explain more? Anybody? You are raising hand? No? Anybody? No? Okay. Thank you.
You were telling, they were saying that our data.
Mike, no.
You were telling that our data was bad. Then you invited those.
Data was bad?
No, that Monarch's data.
I was told by US.
Then you went, you kept on meeting the people repeatedly.
Yeah.
Then later on said that data is good.
Yeah.
Are they trading data or the risk is equal?
There was a person who was US nominee sitting at IMD.
Yes, I was just kidding.
Kidding. That fellow was a stupid person because I pushed him. He went to China as a member of the Monex group. I said, why did you go alone? Why didn't you tell me? I am also here because I came back from a UN assignment. Why didn't you take me also with you? So he was annoyed and said, no, useless. He didn't tell me. Otherwise, I would have simply probably slapped him also. But that's all. Data was good. We wanted half day. That's where the data was there. And Bansal and Higurani were very good data experts, and they did extremely good job.
Sir, what is our first NWP model in India?
Say it again.
First NWP model in India.
First was the barotropic model.
Who knows?
I did. Myself, Chavda, and BBC. VM Chavda, BBC. I was the main author. R.K. Datta, VM Chavda, BBC. That was the first which went to Dr. Krishnan. I took the forecast to Dr. Krishnan. I wrote the whole program. So, total 4 million. But we were again working half, थोड़ी statement करके उसको manual check करते थे, because money was small, and you had to go to planning commission again and again. So you should step by step change करके. We took almost 1 month in making this program. That was the first marathon model, which is 4G, 4 cohesive slug model, 4th level, and then PE model. So these are the sequences. I have written this document. I give it to Dr. Prasad. You can use it. I will put it in my biography also.
Thank you, sir. You have shown that how metrologists played in bringing up the computing systems and computers to India, and also how major roles that you played in CSI and also computer development in that one. I request Dr. Praveen to give the formal vote of thanks to you.
But then let us give the following question.
Sir, thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. We have heard a very inspiring talk by Dr. Datta, the kind of challenges which he faced while bringing the first supercomputer to the country, the kind of interaction and rising work which he had to do with 32 agencies. So I think many of the things which he told about the card reader, and he was talking about the money also, because at that time I think people used to buy, each department used to buy computer time. So computer time means you are given an allocated time, and within that your program should run. So there they had to punch the card. There was a puncher in which the cards were punched, and I think many of us would not have seen those cards. So he has given a very inspiring talk, and he mentioned Delhi University many times. So I'm proud that Delhi University had a computer at that time, because I did my PhD there. So I have some consolation that I did it at the right place. Okay. And then many of the things which he told, the way he told about customs, he told about octroi, he told about cargo, all those things are very important. See, I remember when in 2006, when we had the not SC1, it was the Cray X1, Cray X1E. That is the time in 2006 we shifted to this campus. So at that time, the machine cost was around 18 crores, 19 crores. And at that time, in Delhi, we had imported supercomputers, but that was the first time when we were importing one to Noida. So at that time, we were not familiar with what is the statutory formalities in Noida. So when the machine was shipped out of the customs house, then we came to know that we had to deposit an entry fees here. So, and that entry fees was around 1.2 crores. And the machine had already started from there. So, like Dr. Datta told that he did not want anybody to touch the system. So at that time, we also did not want anybody to touch the system. So then we went to the joint secretary. At that time, we were part of DST. And DST was very, unlike MOES, Ministry of Earth Science, DST has got a very huge budget. They deal with huge amount of money. So at that time, the administration, who was there as the joint secretary and the director, were very cooperative. Then he told me to write a note, justify and write a note, and in one day we could get that 1.2 crore rupees released. So in government, things happen when you have the right administration. The right approach, and the right people should be there who can take the call. So I understand that. So when Dr. Datta was speaking, I could myself with many of the challenges which he would have faced at that time. But at this juncture, when we have see the real estate, which he told that he got this real estate, it was a visionary to think to acquire land of 40 acres, 30 acres for office and 5 acres for the residents. It was a visionary to think that we need to acquire such amount of land. Because otherwise, at that time also, the strength of NCMRWF was not great. It was within 100. So 100 people, 40 acres of land, nobody would have thought it is justified. But he had a vision that the center would grow in future and we would need such space. So I think there are many things which I can say, but then vote of thanks should not be more than what he talked, right? So I do not want to keep on telling all those stuff. But then I should thank Dr. Datta for coming here, and it is an inspiring talk for many young people. The first thing which I should thank him is at the age of 88, probably 90. At the age of 90.
5th day, 2025, I'll be 90.
So at the age of 90, he could stand here for 1 hour and talk. So let us give no, sir. It requires an applause at the age of 90 to talk for 1 hour continuously. And he did not have a glass of water in between. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming and inspiring us.
I thank all my young people that they listen to me carefully.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I welcome you.
So now we have refreshment in the canteen. All of us can join for the refreshment. Thank you.
Somebody.
हेलो, अरे सर, इन सर से पूछना वहाँ पे क्या कहते हैं हेड सर के ऑफिस में एक फ्लावर पॉट है और क्या बोला पता नहीं, सुनी है और तो चीज़ कुछ नहीं है यहाँ पे। अरे नहीं बोल रहे थे वो, एक बार पूछ लेते तो। एक बार पूछ लेते ना, फोन करके पूछ लेते ना, एक फ्लावर पॉट है और क्या था वहाँ पे। यहाँ पे एक पेज है, मतलब ये, और मतलब ये पेज से मतलब जो बोलना होता है देख के वो है। अरे माइक के बगल में। और अरे पता नहीं दो चीज बोले, एक तो ये बोले, एक और बोले पता नहीं क्या। हाँ हाँ समझ
क्या अच्छा क्यों नहीं क्या
पता नहीं क्या, अब दूसरी चीज तो कुछ है नहीं ना यार, मैं समझा होएगी वहाँ पे।
ये क्या है ये है ना
ये तो ना है पेज वेज
ये क्या है ये तो होगा
ये तो नहीं है।
अरे ये
नहीं वो नहीं,
नहीं ये सब इसी का है और कुछ नहीं है।
ऐसा कुछ बोल
ये पेज ले ले और ज्यादा ज्यादा ये
हाँ,
पेज है बस।
अच्छा ये इसका
अंदर
ना
तो नहीं
एसी बंद कर
भाई अब कैटेगरी जानो आप जानो
नहीं इसमें एटीयू भी होगा ना सर
इलेक्ट्रिशियन के या कैटेगरी फोन कर क्या रूम फोन मारो
नहीं अंदर तो कुछ नहीं है ना इसका इसका एसी का
ये सिस्टम ऑन है ना, अभी सिस्टम बंद का हुआ है,
नहीं एसी का था मेरा
सिस्टम भी तो बंद हो रहा है ना।
हाँ हेलो 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 माइक टेस्टिंग 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 नो नो नो